Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the $200 minimum 4v4 variant, of course, taking place here on March 15th. It's myself, Lando Sanders, live here in studio, of course, to bring you guys the commentary for tonight. As we're loading in here toward our next quarterfinal matchup, or our next matchup, now quarterfinal matchup, taking place between Magik and Midnight. Both teams, of course, starting with them, which I'm sure is going to trip me up a few times. But, of course, for those who got to watch our last series, we were able to watch the boys from Midnight actually take down the side of Bound in A in a hot 2-0 fashion and kind of dominated their way, of course, to their current series. So, looking on, of course, new competitor who they're facing off against. Of course, we got to know the story of the boys from Midnight as they start to actually light up the kill feed, Phantomz and co. on a hot spree. Grant didn't have the greatest beginning of this restaurant hill off the start, but they are picking things off left and right, and Phantomz, yet again, up to similar form, is going on a spree, 4 kills in a row, and he's also got just about every single second of hardpoint time for his squadron. Nihill tagging him in the side will also finish him off as well. But, of course, kind of speaking along the lines now of Magik. Who are these guys now? Who are they kind of facing off against? This is 3/4 of what we know as Magik eSports. We actually got to witness, for those who are kind of following the Call of Duty community, if you maybe even saw on Reddit as well, former teammate of Magik, Tiny, kind of the young all-star of this group, has officially decided to kind of consider himself a free agent, no longer under the Magik banner, meaning that now Nihill, Magik, and Flawless are left to try to find a fourth. Prior, and actually after the World Gaming Tournament, they had dropped shills in place of Nihill. And so both Magik and Flawless have had to revisit a few new teammates. Of course, now a month down the line, and they've got an entirely half new squadron. And as far as I know, Risky is not a full-on fourth. He's just kind of looking for another squad to run with. Didn't have the best of tournament runs when it came down to CWL Atlanta. Had a top 80 placement with Fyra. Played with Envoy, for those who are familiar with him. Recently turned the age of 18, prior player for a team known as Justice. Also played for a squad known as Geared for Gaming, but notably Justice. Actually played alongside of Spacely, along with Kenny, currently up Team Caliber, and also Assault as well. So some pretty well-known players currently competing today. And Snow, though, obviously one of his prior teammates, but looking on, seeing what he can probably do, trying to run with Magik tonight, and we'll see how obviously well they can fare off against this very solidified team in Midnight. Like I said, for those who aren't really familiar with this squad, this is a team who through and through has seen a number of different organization changes, but hasn't really seen a whole lot of roster changes generally. This is kind of a solidified team over the last few months, have kind of gone to numerous lands so far throughout World War II together, and had a, a Call of Duty competitive fan maybe 2 years ago. A top 40 placement was just like, okay, yeah, you guys are falling off. You're not playing very well. But in today's standards, like a top 40 placement is actually very respectable when it comes down to the open bracket. To kind of say that you were in top 40, top 32 range is actually very, very impressive. So I got to hand it. Top 40, pretty well for Midnight. I'm not sure as far as like how that directly compares with their other placements or what expectations in reality they probably had for themselves as a team. But this is a squad, when you're looking at this already on paper, they've got the advantage of having that prior experience with one another, which plays huge. They've got the chemistry. They've probably got the communication down. And with adding, like I said, 2 new players over the last month, Nihill officially, Risky, not even an official player, it's got to make things a little bit awkward, especially losing what was your main Slayer throughout a number of different game modes. And Tiny, it's got to take a lot out of your, take a lot of wind out of your sails, I think it's fair to say. So, with that, though, lookout post, about 10 seconds left on this hard point. We've kind of escaped from the major money hills, and now are rotating back toward the beginning of rotations, back inside of bottom restaurant as ProFeeZy starting to get involved with a few kills toward the bottom lines, is to be expected when it comes down to this guy. ProFeeZy, very fast-paced, kind of up-in-your-face type of player. SMG main, and likes to get the work done from a long range, but it looks like Phantomz, though, speaking of him, 17 and 10, had a very solid series, especially when it came down to the game 1 hardpoint of Armed Forest in their last round versus Bound. He and Glory really kind of led the way for this unit as they, like I said, escaped with a dominant Arden Forest victory. But now looking on here, it looks like some shots beginning to come forward. And looks like right now 146 to 79. Phantomz still going on a spree as he's now gone and 7 kills in a row, has got full streaks to work with, and his players continue to challenge him. It doesn't even matter at this point. Just overall incredibly solid play coming in from the boys on Midnight. Now, as we keep in mind the rotations that are getting ready to come forward, those blue arrows curling in favor of those spawns inside a winery, which is, like I said, going to be in favor of Midnight. Positive, and more positives going their way as Magik tries to make the, I don't want to say unnecessary challenge, but kind of the over-aggressive challenge. Kind of, where is my teammates? Why are they not here? I'll try to make a hero play, and obviously it does not work out for them in the end. Nihill trying to brute force his way in here, trying to Rambo his way inside of the hill as he does get greeted with a few explosions and actually manages to stay alive, but for how much longer? Another bullet will have done it, but Pemby is able to stay alive, but only for a few more seconds. Risky and co from the side of Magik are desperately trying to brute force their way in, trying to kick the door down. And while Flawless is here, he's got a few more up his sleeve. Magik, along with an explosion, they'll finally be able to take down control inside of Winery Lot, but to no avail. You know, 15, 16, 17 seconds is nice, but it's about that rotation coming in toward Parking Lot. You've got a 4v2 advantage right now, along with streaks in the back pocket for Midnight. Granted, no kills come from it, but at least information is gained. So as the rotation comes forward, the scrap seconds are found. It looks like the early kills could be going their way too, but Risky finding one. Flawless actually shuts down one of his own teammates. And that is such a big kill. Granted, it's only one, but that was the only player inside of the hardpoint. The only man who could have solidified spawns for them is dead. He gets dropped. Risky falls. And it looks like Flawless, though, continuing to rock those streaks down, is actually on a 6 spree. And has nearly earned those mortar strikes. Nihill dropped just right after finding that kill. It'll earn them nonetheless, and he's not going to hold back. He's investing quite a few of these streaks in this hardpoint alone, using all 3, whether it's been in the middle, the beginning, or the final moments of this hardpoint. While you are using full streaks, granted, not a whole lot gets gained from it. I mean, generally, you talk about streaks, all that was is just to try and make sure the other team wasn't getting time, kind of defensively allowing the opposition to not have a whole lot of time inside of that hard point. So whether or not it obviously pays off successfully in the end, it does play somewhat of a purpose. So 212 to 123, lookout post now underway. A little bit more of a scrappier hard point, but this ProFeeZy is actually lighting things up, finding 3. Flawless is the last alive, and Pemby will find the 4th. Great work coming in from the boys on Midnight as they're looking to make this hardpoint an even more dominant victory than their map 1 in Series 1 versus the boys on Ben. Like I said, that was a 250-129, and they're trying to make sure these next 6 seconds that could even things up as far as the opposition score totals don't match up. A few more players coming in from that middle side alley. Can they make any sort of a push? It looks like it's not going to go down. 5 more seconds remaining, and no one is going to be there to contest the time. So just like that, 250 to 123. Yet again, more dominance being shown from this Midnight lineup. And this is the thing to be worrying about when you're facing off against a squad like this. Is, like I said, time after time is the factor of having to go up against kind of that prior experience in a roster. And one thing that I really didn't kind of take note of, and I was kind of discussing, you know, a lot of the kind of matchups coming into tonight, maybe some bad blood, not necessarily bad blood, but, you know, kind of the prior history for a lot of these organizations or players under organizations, as Phantomz actually finishes off 30-16. Very solid play there from him, obviously. Is Nihill. Nihill actually used to be on Evil Within, which was actually the old kind of unit actually subbed in there for Pemby. I think it was Pemby or Phantomz. I want to say it was Pemby, actually, because at one point it was Nihill, Phantomz, ProFeeZy, and Glory. And so now he's kind of facing off against his you know, prior squadron. It's going to play a little bit under the factor, as now Search and Destroy are going to be coming up next. But before we obviously head into that, let's go and take a look at our box score. Of course, as far as the hard points, how did they go? What really was the major difference maker when it came down to this matchup? It looks like Restaurant, pretty big advantage toward the guys on Midnight. Wine Rate kind of played a little bit more closer. Parking Lot, not too terrible, not the greatest by any means, but look at Lookout Post as well, 75-13. And one thing I'm going to kind of point out that I've been noticing as far as the kind of first hard point in their prior series versus Bound compared to this one versus Magik is that Midnight is doing a fantastic job at locking down hills that are more contest heavy generally, right? When it came down to Iron Forest versus Bound, one hill that they succeeded on was East Road. They were holding massive amounts of control on that hard point. I think it was like a 70-15, 70-13 advantage. Very similar to what we see on Lookout Post. Very similar to what we see you know, on Bottom Restaurant as well. They're doing a great job at overall kind of playing the game toward what is kind of uncharacteristic, right? A lot of teams want to kind of favor heavily on saying, okay, we need to get in the money hill. We need to get in the preferred hard point for this, you know, overall map. They're kind of doing a great job at doing the dirty work, doing the, you know, objective work in hills that aren't as prone to having a lot of the seconds go down, because every hard point is a hard point, right? Every hard point is 60 seconds. A lot of time is still being evaluated, and while a lot of teams maybe aren't preferring a lot of the time maybe getting set up, they're like, hey, this is time, right? Time is good enough for us. Any hard point is going to give us seconds, so why not just try to do the work wherever we really can? So something to kind of keep in mind. If Midnight does progress in this next matchup, something that I'm going to be looking at, if we obviously do get to catch them in later series, is how they're doing when it comes down to their hill rotations and what hard points they're taking, because they're looking pretty good at just about every single one, whether it's normally a contest-heavy one or money hills, they're doing it all. So now looking on here towards some search and destroy on USS Texas, it does kind of worry me when we look at a group like Magik. Generally, when it came down to their prior success, they relied very, very heavily, Magik did, off of Tiny's play and also off of Flawless. When you add guys like Nihill, add guys like Risky, you know, granted they can obviously add to that search and destroy game, but I'm not sure this is really going to go. For Midnight, you've got ProFeeZy, up close, personal, in your face. Phantomz does a great job at kind of playing a role type of style, an AR at range. And like I said, you've got the sniper that comes in from Glory, an incredible sniper player that I'm really looking forward to being able to watch face off, because we talk about USS Texas, it's those fights that come in through that midship, and it's the first bloods that come from the sniper rifles. At least based on roles, Midnight succeeds in those categories quite a bit of the time, and every time that I've seen them play on USS Texas, they at least play it very, very close with some of the top teams in the game. So welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to $200 minimum 4v4 variant quarterfinals underway. Map number 2 to be exact on some USS Texas for some search and destroy. It's Magik going up against Midnight, and I noticed some interesting classes off the start for the boys on Midnight. Of course, after a solid map number 1 victory on St. Marie Dumas Hardpoint, they won that one 250 to 123. It's talk about, like I said, interesting classes. We got the sniper, not uncharacteristic whatsoever on Glory. And it looks like the WAF being brought out yet again from ProFeeZy. We actually saw this on Search and Destroy St. Marie Dumas in their prior series, actually, versus Bound. Didn't really see a whole lot come from it, but this is definitely the weapon to rock when it comes down to these close quarters. Very kind of rapidly, fast-paced weapon. Shoot a lot of ammo. And it looks like an interesting scope. Actually, the 4x optic being brought out here from Nihill. Have seen this a little bit in the early parts of the game, but haven't really seen it being brought out since then. But Nihill just happens to just peek around the corner at the worst time possible. Like I said, a 1v3. Pemby actually seeking out the ace. Not going to be near a situation to find it, but is going to rely on his teammate to find that one in the end. So it looks like it will be ProFeeZy firing away with the WAF, which is probably the least intimidating weapon, or sounding weapon, in the entire game. Kind of sounds like pebbles are being shot at you, not exactly sure, but regardless though, Midnight are able to take it off, like I said, the back of a very solid round. Coming in from the man Pemby, the hat trick early on, and it looks like we're going to be looking here at the boys from Magik when it comes down to their defensive strategies. Do they have anything underlined? And how do they counter the WAF play? Coming in from ProFeeZy. Looks like not rocking it heading in toward this offensive round, but it looks like generally smoke gets tossed out, and at least a little bit of a peek coming in from ProFeeZy. Flawless does actually have the sniper rifle out, catches the dolphin dive, so we're going to be giving a call out toward his teammates saying, hey, most likely a push is being made. Now that he gets the indicator, the snipe comes in. A little bit of a miss. A Glory from the long range. He also has the sniper rifle out as well. Battle's going through, and it looks like he does take out one onto Magik. At the same time, though, Flawless is there for a snipe of his own. Kills going through, and now ProFeeZy, a quick 1v3, has found one. Can he find the second onto Risky? Not going to be there. And so along with 2 kills in this round, Risky, a few extra shots, I guess, to solidify the kill. But more or less, we'll be able to grab the defuse, and Flawless ready to pull the trigger. Can he? Nope, not going to do it. Not going to find it. Solid play, though, coming in for the boys on Magik. Generally, of course, are able to get the defuse down. And the sniper rifle play was actually out and about. I think the players kind of switched classes toward the beginning of that round number 2, so they're faking me out a little bit. They're trying to mess with me, I think it's fair to say. But look at that quick reaction to Glory just to hop onto that Little angle there. And Nihill with his 4x optic. Can't see it as close. Glory. Welcome to my reticle. Nearly takes out Phantomz. The Dolphin Dive has a nade ready to go. And if you're Magik, now's the time to maybe try to peek. At least try to get out toward this narrow corridor, toward that window. And try to make your presence known. But it looks like for now, a man has been lost. The smoke is out. And with that smoke at least kind of guiding their way, is there a push that gets made? Is there a wrap back that starts to happen? But Phantomz trying to make his way, trying to crawl his way toward the bomb site, isn't able to pick up the pieces. Like I said, trying to crawl his way to escaping with this round, however, not looking good. If you are on the side of Magik, 2v4, and Magik has spotted at least the kneecaps of ProFeeZy. Might need some surgery after that, but not any kills found. It looks like he will go 3 rounds without finding anything. It's 2-1 advantage right now for the boys on Midnight. And yet again, Phantomz, I feel like we've been seeing him quite a bit on camera, whether it's obviously been in the Bronze Star or in the respawn totals. I believe he actually ended up finishing off that first hardpoint 30-16. He and Glory have been having a very solid tournament, at least based on their last bit of matches. Definitely 2 key players we're looking out for, but looks like off the start into this round number 4. Objective, yet again, on the back of ProFeeZy. They have any smokes, any utility they want to rock heading in toward this site? No, they're going to use all-out aggression. The gun skill, the trades will be successful. But it looks like Nihill trying to spoil the party, maybe knowing of some prior strategies, does take out 2 from behind. So a flank me, I flank you type of scenario. Regardless, though, we find ourselves with half the lobby dropped in a situation where if you are on the side of Magik, a way to get back into this matchup. Do not want to go down 3 rounds to 1, and Nihill firing at nothing, I guess. But Flawless doing the exact opposite, getting players challenging him from all which directions, gets a call out now. Nihill at least has an idea of where Phantomz previously was. And I believe Pemby does spot him. If you're Nihill, you're in a very awkward spot. Do not want to try to challenge this. At least you've got 2 enemies staring down their weapons. So with that, Pemby continues to dominate from this long range. This is what I like about Pemby's play, right? Especially in Search and Destroy. This is a guy who knows his role, right? This is a guy, and you kind of notice it here in this final kill cam, hanging toward the back, realizes, hey, I don't have to challenge anything if I don't absolutely have to. Like, I'm not, my teammate's not dead, I'm not in a 1 versus 1. One thing that I like about Pemby's play is that he knows his role from map to map. It's not, or game mode to game mode, rather. In Hardpoint, you're seeing him kind of in the back. He's one of the main ARs for this team and has been a main AR for a very large portion of his career. Like I said, plays his role, stays in the back, tosses at the pre-nade, and it's like, okay, I've done my role, I've done my job, I did what I needed to off the start, and I'm going to kind of back up and play my role now, which is staying in the back lines and kind of watching over my teammates. So you see him toss the nade, kind of hangs back here, right? He's not initializing any gunfights, he's just making sure the flanks are all good, there's no one that's going to ruin any of these setups. He's going to rely on the fast-paced play of guys like ProFeeZy and Phantomz, and of course Glory watching solely over at that B-bomb site, which he should be at least getting somewhat of a peek toward Risky. Catches the shoulder, the cold shoulder at that. But it looks like on the opposite end, offense currently underway here for Magik. Magik yet to get a kill. Flawless currently sitting at 1 and 3. So 1 and 7 combined for 2 of your teammates. Not the best of stat lines, but Flawless can quickly change this. Despite not having any cover, he thankfully has the fast enough reaction time to take down one of the fastest reaction times in all of the game in ProFeeZy. Pemby is there for the trade, so now a 2v3. Thank you very much. Free kill found as Pemby's got 2. 4 streak currently as far as the game is considered, so playing for streaks as it currently stands. They know the bomb is being planted, rather. And Glory, go for the no-scope. Do it. Go for it. Risky. 1v2. Quite literally in a situation of that caliber. Does take out one, and here's the second. Can he find it? Yes! Risky. A big 1v2 has both players running at him in what seemed to be an awful situation. A little bit of shaky shots toward the end, but a bullet will do it. And I'm curious, loading into this next round, off of that kill, because he absolutely whips his target. on to Pemby. Does Pemby actually earn streaks in the end? So no, Pemby was so close to streaks. If he finds that kill, if he gets an assist, he probably at least has a fighter pilot. And that's got to be pretty unfortunate, annoying, any type of a synonym you want to toss out that's just overall similar to it. I mean, they've got to be furious about that. And now you just let the enemy be brought within 1 round. Midnight Gaming. How do you respond after that? Granted, it was just a 1v2, but there was a lot on the line in that play. Quick shot coming in. Nihill has fallen, as that is the 4th first blood out of 6 going the way of Midnight. First one for ProFeeZy. As you're just seeing him kind of side peek toward this A bomb. Not going to have anyone at least challenging him from this range. Does have the objective in hand. And notice that at least from the guys from Midnight, this is the first time I've actually seen one of them use a smoke on this bomb site here. So it looks like Pemby still watching this flank. Toss the smoke off the start of the round, probably trying to eliminate any sniper play that could be coming in. The bomb does go down successfully. A 3v4 retake needed. 30 seconds left before that bomb does explode. What can Magik do? Hopping onto the bomb site quickly as Flawless finds the initial kill. There's a second one. Can he find it? But no. It looks like it's going to be back and forth gameplay. Flawless will fall, and now it's risky. And a 1v1 going for the sneak defuse. And can ProFeeZy get here in time is the question. He has to spawn on the bomb, and will go for the challenge. And there it is. ProFeeZy finding the one at the beginning. And the most important one, the one at the end, as he will find the next round for the boys on Midnight. As the pellet gun will find it. Takes, you know, a few bullets. It's like, what, 5 or 6 bullets, but you're able to find it in the end. 4-2 advantage. Could be 5-1 if the 1v2 doesn't come in from risky, but still. I'll let it sit. I'll let it go. But right now, if you're Magik, got to be a little bit frustrated, not having the best of games. Of course, currently 006. Will he join the agency is the question. Probably one of the most prestigious yet unprestigious titles in Call of Duty history to be a part of the agency. I've joined many times. I think all of us have. You always have a slow game, but it's unfortunate when it's in, obviously, tournament moments like this. Keeping in mind, though, 2 rounds away, this could be an opportunity for Midnight to be on series points. These are best of 3s, all the way through, finals included, for those who may be curious. Currently in our quarterfinals. At least on this side of the bracket, Flawless is able to tag up one with a nade, goes for the re-challenge, and nearly is able to take out one onto ProFeeZy. However, the fast reaction time coming in from both players will work out this time in favor of Midnight. And speaking of favor, they do have the man count advantage, 3 versus 2. And now make it a 3v1. Pemby laughing his way to finding his 2nd kill in a row, along with ProFeeZy, who's up to 4. Magik, can you pull off exactly that? Can you do something magical? Nearly, actually, I would say nearly maybe gets a few shots under ProFeeZy from the flank, but not able to find it. As ProFeeZy yet again ruining the party, spoiling the party. The waff brought into action. But, I mean, generally, when it's came down to this map, Midnight have not really had any problems, I think it's fair to say. Besides a 1v2 that they probably get a little bit too risky on, no pun intended. You know, this is a dominant victory, you know, to say the least at this moment in hand. As it looks like Risky has gone so far, that's even pulling up the combat shotgun. So that's cool. Steady aim, advanced rifling. They're not going to be expecting this, to say the least. So he's going to be trying to surprise a few. Actually does take out ProFeeZy. I think a few extra shots into the body maybe, or maybe that's just them kind of firing at the backside of the enemy. But regardless, though, nades, any kinds of utility being tossed out, and now Flawless wondering, what just happened to my teammates? Did I just hear a shotgun actually be brought up? Not exactly sure. Flawless, awkward spot to be in. A gunfight lost. And the agency has been joined from Magik. Magik, welcome to the agency, my friend. Welcome to the club. It's a great club to be a part of. But still, though, a 6-2 victory overall. Yet again, another dominant map win, another dominant series win from the boys on Midnight, they're just kind of tearing through this tournament, to say the least, man. As back-to-back 2-0s, 4-0 map count. The closest hard point that they've seen was 250 to 129, and I can't remember their last search and destroy score. I think it was like 6-3 or 6-2, something like that. Regardless, that they've had a pretty easy time, to say the least. Let's go take a look at our box score here for some search and destroy. All about the kills for Midnight. Looks like a defuse actually ends up coming in here for the boys on Magik. And for those who are maybe a little bit new to our scoreboard, we're not just about the X's. We want to see exactly what happens in these rounds to kind of categorize and see exactly what happened in these matches. Of course, you guys can kind of see the key there at the bottom left. Skull means enemy team was eliminated, which obviously happens pretty often. Of course, those little clippers are obviously the bomb being defused, bomb destroyed, obviously a little emblem there. And of course, the stopwatch means the time limit was reached. Only real, kind of out of the ordinary thing is the fact that Magik does get the bomb defusal. But regardless of that, though, straight up about the kills, Magik had some good moments from time to time, but really it kind of came down to the first bloods, the overall presence that kind of came forward. If the 1v2 doesn't happen, this to me is 1,000% a 5-1, 6-1 advantage that they have coming into that final round, whether they win or not. Like I said, that would have been, I think, what? Pemby at full streaks, he finishes off 11-3. They probably carry into that round with at least a fighter pilot to use. They're just seeming to firing on all cylinders right now, to say the least. Apologies for my mix-up of words there. But like I said, when you're facing off against a team like Midnight, like I said, a group who has been together for the longest of times. Nihill, a prior teammate, actually under the name of Evil Within, with 3 out of the 4 of these players. Like I said, this has been a group who's been teaming. The majority of these guys have been teaming since the beginning of World War II. So like I said, you carry that chemistry, you carry that communication, a lot of the kind of positives that come with it. Granted, people say that playing with the same people can really wear on you, but there are so many positives that come with the chemistry that you earn with playing with certain guys, knowing what they're going to be doing it before they even do it. Right? That's just a matter of kind of having veteran overall knowledge with teammates. It's obviously a great thing to have. So Midnight, of course, taking on that overall advantage into multiple series tonight, as they've now found themselves in the semifinals here for tonight's $200 minimum 4v4 variant. If you guys are curious, and also